Friday's coup attempt in Turkey has been condemned around the world, and some countries are restricting the operations of Fethullah Gulen's organisation, which the Turkish state considers to be the terror group behind the failed coup. Somalia is shutting down Gulenist operations there. The government has ordered Turkish citizens working for Gulen-linked organisations to leave the country within 7 days. In Tanzania, Turkish expats gathered in front of the embassy to call for the government to crack down on the schools linked to Gulenists. And in Azerbaijan, the Ministry of Education has issued an order to close a university there owned by Gulenists. Well, we can speak live now to Nursin Guney. She's the head of international relations at the Yildiz Technical University. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Just explain to our international audience, what does it mean having a state of emergency in place? We've seen a state of emergency extended, for example, in France, following the terror attack in Nice. What does that mean for the Turkish population?
Well, as we have all witnessed on Friday night, luckily this coup has been squashed and repelled. And the situation, as you have given at your hours news, that from the Prime Minister's, what he said, the situation, and also this was shared by President Erdogan as well, the security situation is quite fragile still. And there are even expectations that a second coup attempt might arise. Hope it will not. So this is a situation that you can find a legitimation from the Constitution, where it says whenever there are conditions when you can declare a state of emergency. And this is one of the conditions that was written in the Turkish Constitution, where the state and security of the country is at danger. And so this is quite different from the previous scenes that we have seen previously, the realized coups in the Turkish political history. And this is not a curfew, so this is not a right given to the soldiers or military. This is just a measure to be taken just to make situation, make this passage from insecurity, which we are having at the moment, to the normalization. So as to make this progress and the passage through, we need some time, and that is why the government has given some certain measures, extended measures, to realize this objective. So it is a temporary times, and we're hoping that Turkey will overcome this in a short period. But it, of course, is dependent on the conditions that nobody is really certain about it, unfortunately.
You're head of international relations at the university.
Yes.
So let's talk about reaction from world leaders. Are you concerned at all the way Turkey is being judged following the last week's events and declaring a state of emergency?
Yes.
Do you think it's unfairly looked at?
I think so. I mean, it is because, I mean, as it's been stated here at your news hour as well, the state of emergency was also declared in European cases as well, especially after 1 or 2 terrorist attacks. And in this case, the state is under threat.
I want to ask you that, though. With the state of emergency within France, that was declared because you had a terrorist going after civilians.
Yes.
What happened on Friday was a coup attack to try and overturn and kill the president, which was attack on the government.
Yes.
Are there differences?
Well, there are differences, but what lies behind it, we're talking about the key word is terrorist attack. So, I mean, those who are in charge of this coup attempt is also terrorist. So that is why you can find similarities, but it is much more dangerous, and it's much more, I would say, I mean, not any case of a terrorist attacks can be legitimized. But this is, Turkey has been under multitude terrorist attacks in the last few years, as you know. It is not only PKK, it is also Daesh or ISIS, and this time also this Gulenist terrorist attack. So, so this is the reality that I'm trying to mention it.
The government obviously is cracking down on Gulenist organisations, not just within Turkey, but they're calling for Turkish citizens elsewhere to try and mobilise and lobby that Gulenist organisations are cracked down across the world. But in terms of democracy, is it not still important to have freedom of speech to allow the opposition to still voice their concerns if they're not linked to Gülenist organizations? How important is that?
Of course, this is important. As far as we watch and examine what's happening nowadays, it's a matter of emergency, state of emergency that we are mentioning. And these are not normal times. But of course, as you mentioned, we need to hear the voices of opposition that are not linked with this terrorist group. And what is interesting, right after this failed coup attempt, we have seen that the four political parties in the parliament have shown a resistance and a very important stand that they are abide with the rules of law and as well as democracy. So, and also we should underline that Turkish people were very much against to this failed coup and stand by the government and state of emergency. This is very important.
Okay, Nursin Guney, thank you so much for coming in.